What's going on, people? Welcome to the live match reaction. Palace 0, Bournemouth 0. Finally, after two horrific games defensively, Palace keep a clean sheet with 10 men. It was a massive result at the end of it. And we're going to talk about the red card decision as well as the referee plus the overall performance. Finally, go back to basics, which is what I wanted going into this game. And we managed to go get a draw, a point, something to build on going into the Arsenal game, and most importantly, going into that Aston Villa game, which is, of course, going to be massive. As always, even if you're watching on replay, please hit the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel to not miss out on future content. And the lines will be open in I guess, in about 10 seconds time, because I'll just post a link right now where you can click on a link to call into the show to have your say on the game. Of course, a controversial red card decision from Chris Richards. That's going to be like the main talking point. Overall, my thoughts, I'm happy. I know we didn't do much going forward, even with 11 players out on the pitch. But when you bring in circumstances and the situation that's happened, especially with, Richards getting that red card, we'll take the point. I would have took the point before the game. I said it. I think Palace need to, slow it down and go back to what we're good at, and that is being good defensively. I know today we didn't create that many opportunities going forward. And saying that, I think in the second half with 10 men, we still had a few moments, especially from set pieces. We got, we as a team defended well. And that's the biggest compliment today, because as a team, we were all over the place defensively in the last two games against City and Newcastle. So that was a positive. Of course, there are some performances maybe from three individuals, which we can talk about. As they got subbed off for Chris Richards, was that the right decision or not? We'll get into that as well as, JP once again gets subbed off for Nketiah. I guess that's Glasner trying to keep him safe. I think the subs were on point today. Kamada came on, and I think he had a positive influence on the game. And Nketiah didn't have much to do because he was asked to defend. And that was as the game was dragging on, we could see it was getting more tired, and we're just booting the ball up, and there was no one really up there. So Nketiah didn't really get involved as much. But yeah, the most frustrating thing about today is not the result. It's not the defensive performance, which we've been talking about. Is the referee. Personally, he was horrific. He was horrific. He was just far too inconsistent for me, and that was the problem. I don't know what you lot thought. I don't know if you've gone to the game. I know a lot of you probably watched the game at home. I did think at the ground anyways, I did think it was silly by Richards to even go for that, considering the Bournemouth player was going to go through on, well, not through on goal, but he's going to, have space to run into. So you don't want to give referee that decision. However, where my problem mainly lies with this is the fact that about 5 minutes or 10 minutes before Chris Richards actually got the second yellow, Alex Scott literally does the same thing. He's on a yellow card. And what does the ref do? He gives him the benefit of the doubt. Now, if you're going to do that, this is where my problem lies. If you're going to do that and allow Alex Scott to remain in the game by a decision which should have been another yellow card for him, it was obvious. But fair enough. You're not going to send off players. If you're going to send out that message, then fair enough. But you can't send off Chris Richards. I know Richards didn't help the situation, maybe. To be fair, I watched it once back on replay, and it does seem kind of soft anyways to give him another yellow card. But at the ground, I felt like he held him. But on the replays, it doesn't really quite show that was the case. You can't send him off. And of course, the game changes there. In my head, as soon as we conceded that goal, it was like, what are we going to do now? How are we going to be able to keep a clean sheet? Is he going to change, the attackers? Are we going to still go 5 at the back? Is he going to change a 4 at the back? And we kept the same system. And I think it was a smart decision because, as Glasner mentioned it, I don't think the Newcastle game in particular, but the Man City game, for example, he got it wrong by his changes. But in this game, I think he got it right because we needed to come out of this game with something. So, yes, taking off Ebbs for Loma might have seemed a bit defensive-minded, but we still created chances. We still had, chances here and there, despite having 10 men. And in the second half, I felt like we were, especially at the start of the second half, we were a bit more comfortable at times with our midfielders, which our midfielders couldn't get into the game with 11 players. And I think that was the main issue. For me, the annoying thing about today, if there was anything about the performance, it's not the defense, it's us going forward. We were far too direct, even when Richards was on the pitch. And we were just hooping the ball up to Mateta and hoping for the best. And I think Bournemouth are a very good side, and we've seen it so far this season. But what they've done today to Wharton and Hughes, when we had 11 players, you have to give credit to them. You have to give credit to them. And we didn't find a solution around it. We didn't really play out from the back. All goal kicks were direct. Even when we won the ball and tackled them, straight away, hoofing the ball up there. They pressed us well. And they didn't really allow Wharton and Hughes to get into the game. And that's why it was a bit of a surprise to me when we did go down to 10 in the second half. Wharton still got on the ball a few times. I feel like he got on the ball in better areas. He had a bit more space when we had 10 men in comparison to 11. So I don't know what happened there. But overall, we knew that this was going to be a difficult game. The next game against Arsenal was going to be difficult. We got the job done today by keeping a clean sheet. That was my main objective. Now we've got something to build on. We've stopped the horrific week. If we ignore this past week, the past few months, the whole year, to be fair, has been great, apart from this past week. This past week has been horrific. Today was the only real positive out of it, if you consider the Man City game as well. But yeah, I don't know why people are saying Hazard did get sacked. Don't get how people can be down today on the team. Grinding a clean sheet down to 10 just hopefully shows that the last 2 games were one-offs. Well, yeah, I think that's the biggest positive out of today is the clean sheet, because you don't want to give Villa that hope. You don't want to go into that Villa game conceding 15 or 20 goals in 4 games. It would have been ridiculous. And hopefully it's a case of now, Villa looking at Palace and saying, you know what? They've had a bad week, but they're still a good defensive side. So yeah, that was the main positive. Let's bring on Tim. Tim, you was on a watch along? How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I mean, yeah, it's an ugly game. I got what I wanted out of that game, D. I mean, I know you said about the team going forward. It wasn't great going forward. I don't care. Like, the only thing I wanted from this match was a reset. You have to prove that you are not a team that ships 5 goals every week. That was the thing. That was the only thing that I needed to see. Like, if we got some great goals, fantastic. But I said before the match, I said, I bite your arm off for a 1-1. I'd take it. I'd take that point just to reset and be more consistent, stronger. And we were. Defensively, I thought we were absolutely terrific. There's still work to do offensively. There's no question. However, I will say I thought Ebbs was decent. I know we went direct a lot and we went into cul-de-sacs, and that didn't really work out all that well. So there's still work to do offensively. But I'll tell you, man, like, this could have been a match where, and this was my worry, once we went down to 10, it's like, are we going to do this again? Are we going to drop heads again? Because that was the risk. That was a big risk. And I thought I was angry at that call. Sam Barrett has done this to us twice now. He did it against Brentford, right? Ebbs gets that free kick that should be a goal, and we get an apology. That was him. Now here he is again. There's no way, D. There's no chance that is a second yellow. I get that there's like this small argument that says Richards comes up behind him to stop the play, and so cynical foul, second yellow. I buy that if he isn't jumping out of the freaking way.
Yeah. If
he's not jumping out of the way, okay, give him the second yellow. But he's jumping out of the way. What the hell are you doing? Like, it was a terrible performance by the ref. But the good thing is, this is something you can build on, where you end up with down to 10. I mean, somebody pointed this out in the watch along, D. Last 2 games, at home, down 3 players.
The last 2 games. Is that a worry or?
No, because I think this one was nonsense. The only thing that really pisses me off is that I don't think you can appeal a second yellow. I know you can appeal a straight red.
Yeah, he's going to be banned for the Arsenal game, which is fine because we need to rotate in that game anyway. So he gets a little bit of a break, which we can talk about later on down the show. But what did you make of the starting 11? Only one change. Wharton came in. Was you surprised by that,
I
considering the
was
last
surprised
few
by that.
performances?
I
In
was.
what aspect?
I was surprised there was no rotation, but fair play to them. I mean, Glasner threw them out there and said, like, look, you got to prove that the team we've seen the last 2 weeks is not the team that we are. And so fair play. I mean, Arsenal's going to have to be a huge amount of um, rotation. I can't see how it wouldn't be. But uh, yeah, I was very surprised by that. D. Having said that, I thought Wharton was probably the best player for us in the first half. Um, I heard what you said about him,
I
and
disagree. How comes you think that? He barely had any touches before the actual red card. I was looking at the stats during the game. He had like 11 or 12 touches. I don't think he
is
was
that true in the
maybe
first
off
half?
the ball.
In the first half, that's true? He only had 11 or 12
No, no,
touches?
no. Well, before the red card, I was looking at the stats. I don't know what
Okay.
minute it was, but I was next to Lou and I was saying like, what's going on? It's not just Wharton, Hughes as well, because I don't think they had what happened was going direct. Yes, was going direct,
Yeah.
but yeah, but that was due to Bournemouth cutting off the midfield. So I don't think they really got involved as much in the first half.
I guess where I'm coming from then is like there were moments throughout that first half where both Hughes and Wharton were essential in cutting off that entry pass, because what they were trying to do once we were cutting off the channels and the flanks, it looked like they're like, okay, well, we're going to go central and see if we can get Evan Nielsen to turn. And that didn't happen. It happened maybe once, and Wharton cut off that ball quite a bit, and Hughes cut off that ball more than his fair share. So maybe I'm just thinking about defensive play. D, that's
Yeah,
possible.
defensively as a team, it was great. It was great. And what
Yeah,
was the
I
difference
thought so.
today then in comparison to the last few games?
Team
As you
defending,
said, only one player that came into the side, Wharton. I don't
team
think it was just
defending.
Wharton.
Team defending. There's a great moment of team defending where Ebbs comes all the way back and snips the ball off of, I think it might be Clivert. He pinches the ball off of down
Mm.
in the attacking area. Looks like the ball is coming in, and he pinches it right off him, turns it, and then we start moving the ball back up again. Team defending. You need to have team defending. So yeah, it's positive. You know what, D, you might be right, and they certainly didn't give us a lot to do. You know, we weren't really all that profitable. Moving the ball up the
I
pitch.
think, yeah, I think we were great defensively throughout the game, even with 11 players. They had a lot of the ball, a lot of possession. I think it was like 70% at some point of
Yeah,
the
it was
game.
crazy.
But
Yeah,
they didn't really create that many chances. I think we defended
no,
much
definitely
better
not.
as a team in the final third. We allowed them to have the ball, but we defended well. The only negative, if you was to think of any, when we had 11 men, which of course the game changed to 10 men and is a whole different conversation that we're having, is that on the counter, when we did have the ball, we didn't do much because we were just
No, I
kind of going
agree.
direct to JP. And yeah, that was the only thing. But today the main focus was trying to fix the defense anyways. And we did manage to do that. Which was a positive. So yeah, the game with 10 men was very impressive
Yeah,
from Palace's
I would say also, I'm curious what you think about this first half. So when we were on the watch along, we were talking about this because there was a small amount, not a lot, but a small amount of consternation that we weren't attacking with quality and like creating really big chances in that first half. I thought that, like, I want to see that first 20 minutes, like, to neutralize them. That's
Mm,
all I really wanted to see. I wanted first 20 minutes, just shut them down, push them out, push them back so we can reset and then go head to head. And that happened. And what it looked like a tactical change. Well, I don't know if you would call it a tactical change, just a shift in style. Around 30 minutes after we had frustrated them, that's when the press started. Then we started going after them higher up the pitch, like 3 to 5 yards, a little bit higher. Start pushing them and see if we could turn the ball over up higher. We never really got to see how well that worked, D, because shortly after that, it's the red card.
yeah. It was hard after that red card to do anything really tactical going forward. But I like the decision by Glazer to still keep the back five. Ideally, I think the idea was to have Mitchell and Munoz giving that width.
Mhm.
But before I bring on AJ, was you surprised about Eze being subbed off?
No. As a defensive change, no, I wasn't.
What do you think of his performance? You said that you
I
liked
thought
it,
he was
right?
fine. I thought he was
Mm,
fine. Like I
mm,
didn't. I don't feel like if he's getting criticism, I'd be somewhat surprised by that. Like we didn't get forward a lot, but when we did get forward, Ebbs was getting into some areas. Plus, the team defending was excellent, and Ebbs was a part of that. That's what I need from him. I need Ebbs to be locked in, and I thought he was focused. I thought he was largely doing what he needed to do. He wasn't absolutely on it and brilliant and unbelievably threatening, but he was turning a little bit faster. He does get a couple of moments, but yeah, I thought he was fine. But I
yeah.
don't mind that sub because you absolutely like I think subbing in Lerma made a difference. I absolutely think that it made us much more stout defensively. I think it was the right sub.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
that's
100%
not
it was the right
that's not
sub.
a reflection of
It was a
Ebbs. That's
defense.
just
It was a defense. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It was the right sub. It was just the defense today that we needed to fix on and improve on, and we managed to do that. So I think that's a positive outcome. Let's bring on AJ as well. AJ, how you doing, bro? It's been a while, man. It's
What's
been a
going on,
while.
man? What's going on?
As soon as we stop conceding 5 goals, you're here. Hey, hey. Some say you're not here in the dark days, but when clean sheets, you're here. What do
Man,
you
why
think
are
of
you
that game?
battering AJ? What's going on, man?
No, no, I was surprised. I was surprised to see. I was surprised to see him.
Jeez.
I've been excessively busy. Excessively busy. You know how life is.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I'm joking.
Yeah, man. You know what, right? I've said this before. We are allegedly in the best league in the world.
You're cutting in and out though. Sorry, I
Sorry.
just cut you. You're cutting in and out. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's. I don't know what it is. It's just like you
Might be
speak.
your internet or something.
One
I
second.
think it's like a microphone or something. It might be your phone. I'm not too
Try it
sure.
now, AJ.
Can you hear me now?
No, I think just refresh your browser. Refresh your browser, then we'll bring you it back in.
I'll be back.
All right, cool. But yeah, no, I was only joking. AJ's been busy. Bournemouth didn't. Bournemouth lacked cutting edge. Didn't look like scoring. With
I agree
11, I
with
think
that.
we win that game today. I disagree with the last point. I don't know.
You think so? You don't think so? Okay. Tell
With
say
11, I don't know
more.
if we win
Say
that game
more.
because when we had 11 on the pitch, we were struggling to create chances. Like going forward, I don't think it was early in the game. That's the thing. In the second half, the game could change. Glasner could make a few adjustments, and maybe he can bring on more attacking subs, which he still did today. Kamada and Nketiah, which we'll talk about, they came on and I think they were positive.
I did
But
too.
of course, we couldn't play in our usual system. We had to go with the two up front. But yeah, based on what I saw with 11 versus 11, I don't think we were close to winning that game. I think that game was ending as a draw because I don't think we created that many chances with 11, and I don't think they did as well, and they struggled with 10. So I think it was looking like a draw anyways. We were just too direct. We were just too direct.
I do think it was looking like a draw.
Yeah.
You want to bring AJ back in?
Yeah. AJ?
I do
Can you
think
hear
it
me
was
better now?
yes, much better.
Much better.
So I do think it was looking like a draw, but we didn't get to see D. Like I told you, like at that 30-minute mark after we had canceled them out, and then we started pressing and we started winning the ball much higher, and that's when I thought Ebbs was starting to look a little bit more like Ebbs, even though we had a lot of good defending. We never got to see if we had really had moments on the pitch where that press, with energy, pushing them back, winning the ball higher. Would we have gotten something out of that? We're never going to know because Richards got sent off.
Yeah.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. It did look like it was just going to be a dead. It was just going to be a dead.
I would have took
Nil-nil or
anyways.
1-1.
Some people wanted to win, which also makes sense as well. Like
Of
after
course.
the defeats back to back. But for me, I think the clean sheet was more important than anything today. And now we just have to make sure we don't go against Arsenal. I think, we got a clean sheet against Bournemouth. Things are okay now. No, you build on this. You continue with this. This is like the foundation to build on. But AJ, what do you make of the game?
Like I was going to address beforehand, we're supposed to be the best league in the world, right? And we still cannot seem to get it right with these officials. it wasn't even one of them situations where I'm sitting there and thinking, oh, the refs are against us. It's more about the lack of consistency. One thing that frustrates me, and this is even on a personal level, is lack of consistency. And this is in anything in life. But with these Premier League referees, we've got these zillions and zillions of pounds being pumped into the league, left, right, and centre, bringing on all these world-class players, and we can't seem to get a consistent referee performance. I've seen better refereeing than Sunday league games. I've seen better refereeing than under-11 games. From the minute that referee was operating that game, it killed the game off for us before we could even put our own game plan into place. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of the team because we were managed to walk away with a draw against a very, very good Bournemouth side who are having an excellent season. And I don't want to be disrespectful to them in the sense of I don't want to take away their performance or try and downplay it like we were supposed to smash them 6-7-0. But if we had our full 11 on the pitch and we managed to implement our proper game plan today, I think that result could have been very, very different. I think I'm so fed up of the officiating in the Premier League. It's just so inconsistent, and you cannot tell me you cannot find in the whole of the country 10 good officials that can operate a weekend full of football fixtures. I just don't understand. And the thing is, you can even see it, sense it when you're in the ground, and they're saying very selective things about the referee. It's almost every game, if not every other game, because we're having to focus on that rather than the actual physical team performance that we're seeing in front of us. I'm finding myself sitting there being more peed off at the referee rather than Glasner potentially getting his tactics wrong or being outplayed or we're playing it exceptional. It's just becoming it's gone beyond ridiculous for me. I'm just so fed up with it. But going back to the actual...
sorry to cut you off. In the Brentford game, when Eze scored that free kick first game of the season, that was this is the
same ref.
Yeah,
same ref.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course, it doesn't even surprise me. It doesn't even make me even more angry. It is just like, when you're just getting bad news upon bad news upon bad news, just like, yeah, fine, add it to the pile. I'm just fed up with it. Like, it just makes the game so much more frustrating than it needs to be. Like, me personally, I've been very, very busy and I've not been able to get to games as much as I really wanted to in the past month. But I really am feeling it for the fans that are having to travel up and down the place, have to go to the game, and then the game gets killed off because of very inconsistent performances. At the end of the day, if you were going to send off Richards, then you've got to send off Scott. You've got to be consistent.
Yeah.
And it just felt like he was letting certain
and
things
Adams
go.
maybe and Adams too.
And Adams, there's definitely a conversation there as well because the Adams situation was weird. I just don't get it, man. But going back to the actual performance itself, I thought for what we had to deal with and what we had to put up with in terms of having the 10 men against an 11 Bournemouth who are having a good season, I felt the guys did well in terms of defensively. I felt that the guys did put in a shift, and to actually walk away from that situation with a point, I couldn't be more, I wouldn't say proud as such, but I'm happy enough with that result.
Yeah. And it was the defense today that impressed me the most after the last two games. What do you think was different? Even with 10 men, we didn't look out of place and they didn't really create that many chances.
It helped having our established 11, or it was the fact that we had our strongest team out, I reckon we could have possibly put out. But more importantly, the strongest defense that we could have potentially put out, obviously minus a certain dodgy decision of a red card. It was Gay back there. There was Mitchell back in the side. You had Munoz on the right-hand side. You had, up until a certain point, Richards there. When we have that consistent team, it will, defensively, I always feel relatively quite confident in the boys to be able to get something out of the game. I'm just so frustrated and so annoyed with the decision. I do feel like they used that as an excuse to take that away from us. Yeah.
There's only so much that you can do with 10 men, and especially that the way that we've been, the confidence has been low. That's been a major issue. So today, hopefully, the players can put their heads high and look forward to games now, because today it felt like we need to stop whatever's going on rather than we need to attack Bournemouth and get this win. It's like, let's get a point and let's start all over again. But based on today's performance, we've got Arsenal, then we've got Villa coming up. Are you a bit more optimistic?
Hey, I don't know about Arsenal. I'm I'm a professional Arsenal hater. I'm not going to lie. I come from my other half is Arsenal Central. So having to put up with their arrogance is a lot to deal with. I was actually kind of hoping Real Madrid would do something, but let's be honest, Arsenal are on a very big high right now. They almost, it's burning me to say so, but they look near unstoppable right now. It's just a shame that they haven't been consistent enough in the league to actually put up a title challenge. But we're going to be missing Richards. Not the end of the world. The only thing I'm hoping is maybe they might have a bit of fatigue because obviously they play tomorrow. So hopefully they'll have a little bit of fatigue getting into it, and maybe we might be able to get something out of it. But if you want me to be brutally honest, I'm not feeling confident, not 100%. But I'd walk away with a 0-0 or a 1-1. I'll take a draw right now.
Do you make a lot of changes in that game? How do you approach it if you're Glasner?
I know a lot of people are thinking about the semi-final. It depends because obviously it all falls down to what kind of conditioning the players are going to be into. Because without being in the sort of medical team side of things, I'm nowhere near qualified to have that kind of decision making. But it depends on what kind of conditions we're looking at. If we're looking at, let's use a FIFA or a football manager comparison. If they're at 50, 60, 70%, you bench them. I will happily sacrifice the points against Arsenal if it means we're going to turn up against Villa. We've got a very good record against Villa anyway. So I would happily play a few rotated players in that situation for the sacrifice of that semi-final. Because for me, yes, it would be nice to push up the league table as high as possible because I do think there are potential places, prize money, and maybe even potential back alley Europe places up for grabs. But the more realistic chance falls onto the FA Cup. And just from a Palace perspective, for me, selfishly, I want to see us live something in my lifetime. I do not want to be sitting with my grey hairs, sitting there talking about, well, we almost did it back in 2025, X amount of years ago. I want us to go all out for the cup. And I feel like we've got the manager. I feel like we've got the team. It's difficult, but not impossible. I would happily see him play Kamada centre-back, Kapora right midfield. Who cares? I'm not too fussed about the Arsenal game. Where my heart is and where my panic stations are going to be is all into next weekend. All the chips are into that for me.
Deacon, I just want to address something, just kind of build on what AJ said here. I strongly disagree with this. And here's the reason why, Eagle, just to build on what AJ said. In the first 30 minutes of this match, Barrett let a lot of stuff go. He let a lot of stuff go. It was looking like it was going to be a physical match.
I thought as well.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, then the cards start coming out. Like, you can't, if you're going to make it where I have no idea what a yellow card challenge is in a match, that makes it really difficult to play. So even if you think he got a lot of decisions right, he still alters the direction of the game, to AJ's point. And that is just completely is that fair? Am I characterizing it correctly, AJ?
That's how I'm looking at it. This is what I was kind of trying to say on that point that the last comment stated. This isn't a complaint or what about us kind of vibe. It is a lack of consistency I'm struggling with here. The situation is, if you're going to send off Richards for whatever said situation, then you've got to take a look at the Adams situation, you've got to take a look at the Scott situation, and you have to treat it exactly the same. Don't just think, oh, you know what? Maybe that red card was a bit mad and the crowd's getting on me a little bit. Let me just hold back and have a conversation. Why did you not go to Richards and have that conversation? I saw Scott get talking to and got told, this is your last chance. This is your last chance. 5-10 minutes later, he goes in, does that. But then Richards doesn't even get that caution or that, what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't get that
he doesn't get that
opportunity.
Grace. Yeah,
he doesn't get that grace. Exactly. So it's not me sitting there going, oh, well, the officiating, that's why we lost. Oh, the whole world's against us. It is, my frustration is lack of consistency. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to work very, very hard to convince me otherwise. Because you cannot tell me that was a consistent 50-50 decision-making from the referee today. You can't. There's no way. After what I just saw, that's where my grief is. And that would be the situation if I was watching any other team in the league. It's just, I don't know if it's just bad luck. I don't know if it's because I'm a Palace fan, I see it more with us. But there just doesn't seem to be any elite referees in the league. And, where are they?
Yeah. Well, he lost control of that match like that. And that's where for me, especially in that second half, he lost control of that match.
Yeah. It's the fact that Alex Scott got subbed off at halftime. Like, that says everything.
That says a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth knew what was going on. And they knew that if he was going to stay on the pitch, that the referee would most likely give him a red card because he realized he messed up because he should have been sent off anyway. So that's just the unfortunate aspect. But look, apart from referees, AJ, I know you haven't got long. Just quickly, we haven't spoke about the bench players, but I thought Kamada and Nketiah came on today, especially Kamada. He looks lively coming off the bench.
Looks decent.
Yeah, you got to put some respect on Kamada's name. I know he hasn't had the best season or the best debut season, but I feel like he's growing into it. I don't think he's going to start ripping up trees just of yet. The man is only on a 2-year contract. I'm going to have to be honest, the past couple games, I'm not saying the past couple games, I'd say even maybe relatively since the new year, he has looked a little bit more comfortable in the league. Yeah. Bear in mind, he's not built a certain way. He's not, the most skillful individual in the world, but we know he's got quality. He has to get used to the league. He has to get used to the physicality. Mm-hmm. That's going to take him a time. I don't know why everyone automatically thinks that every player you bring through the door is automatically going to tear up trees instantly. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. And as Crystal Palace fans, I don't understand why we've never been that patient towards that.
Yeah. We
all know that Kamada is a quality player in there somewhere because he's worked with a manager before, he's won trophies, he was playing in Serie A. Like, he's not a bum. I just think that the bad start is kind of put him in that villain bracket.
Yep.
Or because everything, actually, barring after the first half of the season, it is almost like in some situations and some stories, people are always just trying to find a villain. And I feel like he's almost looking off the Jeffrey Schlupp bracket.
That's right.
So he's not a villain in this situation, man. He's growing into it. Don't get me wrong, if 18 months pass and he's still showing no signs of improvement, we're having a different conversation. But let's not forget, in the League Cup, in the first earlier games in the season he was playing, he was scoring, he was assisting. So he's not a shit player and he's not a bum. It's just that he's had a few games here and there
and
where he's just not used to it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, AJ.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, AJ, great chatting to you again, bro. Hopefully, I think I've got connection issues. Sorry, I didn't cut you off, Tim. Yeah, great chatting to you, bro. Hopefully, I'll catch up with you again soon.
I'll be back soon, boys, in a bit.
That was AJ having to say. Tim, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're good. You're good. Can you hear me all right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a lag. But yeah, it's positive. Even today, when I looked at the bench, I was like, you know what? There's actually some players that could come off. Look, France is not going to come on when we have 10 men. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe he could have came off for Sarr, but still early days, and that's the only negative. Maybe if we had 11, then maybe we could see one of those subs. France came off the bench against Southampton and got a goal to get us the point. So he could be a useful player, but unfortunately, we couldn't see the potential of that bench of some of these players. But Ben Chilwell, once again, he didn't come on. What was your thoughts on Mitchell today?
I thought Mitchell had a terrific game.
And the second half was better than in the first half.
I think this speaks to your point, D, which is there were many occasions where we tried to get out, like use the width and get out into the wings, and Ty didn't really get out all that much. Offensively, we didn't see very much from him, and we didn't see a lot from Munoz either. Although Munoz did get into positions and he did deliver a couple of balls, but generally, I wouldn't say we got a lot from the wingbacks today. But defensively, Semenyo was nowhere. He was nowhere. I mean, and that was a concern, right? I thought Semenyo is going to be somebody who can really threaten in this game, and he was nowhere. And I think that was down to Mitchell and Gay. I thought together they were excellent, D. They were excellent defensively. They really cut off. We were very good at defending the flanks, and Mitchell in particular was very good at that.
Yeah, I agree. I think in the second half, definitely defensively, he looked good. And Bournemouth, once again, they didn't create that many chances despite having the
Absolutely.
extra player on the pitch. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up? I mean, there's
Well,
not much to talk about in this game, to be fair. We spoke about the referee, we spoke about the subs.
yeah.
I think it was like a dull game, pretty much. Both sides
Yes.
didn't really play that much.
Yes.
So there's only
It
so much
was
to
a
talk
dull
about
game.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dull game. No, I'll just give a quick plug so that folks know that. So if you please make it to Wembley, but if you can't make it to Wembley, I'll be back for a watch along next
Yeah.
week. And we did get we got a volunteer during the watch along, D, from
Okay.
Andy McDonald, who said
Yes.
he would come on. So Andy, just please, can you give the email, D, so you like the back of the nest email, so
Yeah.
that if Andy wants to come on, I'll totally do it, man.
Yeah. We got Alex on as well.
Oh,
I was
great.
gonna let you know. Yeah. We got Alex on as well for the watch along next week.
Fantastic.
So
That's
yeah.
good. That'll be great. But please, if you can't make it to Wembley, please join us. But otherwise, I mean, need every Palace
exactly.
fan at Wembley.
Yeah. And also on Wednesday there'll be no watch along, but I'll be here for the match reaction. Then again,
I'll be at
that
work, so
game,
I won't see you. But
yeah,
otherwise,
I know. Midweek games are hard for you, but
yeah.
yeah, even that game, like, just get over and done with. For me, it's about next week Saturday now. As long as we don't get battered, today is like a positive. Like I got what I wanted today. That's pretty much it. Like defensive performance, more resilient. So yeah, by next week Saturday, I won't be here for the watch along or the match reaction. I don't know about the match reaction. We'll sort that out. I'm not too sure who's posting yet because I'll be at Wembley. Hopefully it'll be a positive result. We can have smiles on our faces because that's the biggest game. I mean, win that game.
100%.
And if you're talking about players on the beach, wait till we win that game. I mean, if they're going on the beach for a semi-final, if we beat Villa, then trust me, they'll be on the beach at the end of the season for the FA Cup final. So yeah, let's see what happens. Look, positive today. Thank you to Tim for joining me and for the watch along as well, and everyone that's watched that and everyone here in the chat as well. If you have enjoyed this, like, subscribe. That's it from us. There'll be player ratings and more content coming out in the next few days, so keep your eyes peeled for those. But until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.